stop for a moment. Before you scroll away, before you tell yourself you'll listen to this later, give me the next few minutes. Because there is something you need to understand about your future. Your future is not waiting somewhere ahead of you. It is being created right now. By what you think. By what you think. By what you repeatedly tell yourself when nobody else is around. And that should either wake you up or scare you. Because every day, you are giving your future instructions. Every thought is an instruction. Every belief is an instruction. Every decision is an instruction. And eventually, your life begins to follow those instructions. Think about that. You don't wake up one morning and suddenly become successful. You don't wake up one morning and suddenly become confident, disciplined, focused, strong, and successful. Those qualities are built quietly, one thought at a time, one decision at a time, one ordinary day at a time. And the same thing happens in the opposite direction. Nobody suddenly wakes up and decides to destroy their future. It happens slowly. A little procrastination today, a little negativity tomorrow, another excuse the next day, another opportunity ignored, another promise broken, another hour wasted, and eventually years have passed. The frightening part is that both lives can look exactly the same in the beginning. The difference is what is happening inside the mind. That's why I want you to listen carefully. If you want a different future, you cannot keep thinking the same way that created your present. You cannot keep feeding your mind the same doubts, the same excuses, the same fears, the same negative stories, and then expect your life to somehow become. It doesn't work that way. Your future needs a new direction. And that direction begins in your mind. Now, I'm not telling you to sit around smiling and pretending everything is perfect. That's not positive thinking. Positive thinking isn't blindness. It isn't pretending that your problems don't exist. It isn't telling yourself everything will magically work out while doing nothing. Real positive thinking is much harder than that. Real positive thinking looks directly at the problem and says, yes, this is difficult, but I can become stronger. It says, I don't have all the answers yet, but I can learn. It says, I failed, but failure doesn't get to decide who I become. It says, my past may explain me, but it does not have permission to control my future. That is a completely different mindset, because when your thinking changes, your questions change. And when your questions change, your actions change. Most people ask, why does this always happen to me? A stronger person asks, what can I do about it? Most people ask, why am I not lucky? A stronger person asks, what can I improve? Most people say, I'm not good enough. A stronger person says, not yet. That little word changes everything. Not yet. I'm not where I want to be yet. I don't have the skill. I don't have the discipline yet. I haven't built the life I want yet. Because yet leaves the door open. And as long as the door is open, you can walk through it. But here's where most people make a mistake. They want their circumstances to change before they change their thinking. They say, when I have more money, I'll feel confident. When I have more time, I'll start. When someone believes in me, I'll believe in myself. When life becomes easier, I'll become disciplined. But what if it works in the opposite direction? What if you have to become stronger before life becomes easier? What if you have to believe before you see evidence? What if you have to act before you feel ready? What if the person you're waiting to become is built through the very actions you're avoiding today? Think about it. You don't become confident and then take action. Very often, you take action and confidence comes afterward. You don't become disciplined and then start keeping promises. You start keeping promises and discipline begins to grow. You don't wait until you're fearless. You act while you're afraid. And every time you act despite fear, you teach your mind something. You teach it, I can handle difficult things. That is how a stronger identity is created. Not through motivational quotes. Not through wishing. Not through wishing. Through evidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you create evidence. Every time you finish something you wanted to quit, you create evidence. Every time you choose the difficult right thing over the easy wrong thing, you create evidence. And eventually, your mind begins to believe, maybe I really am capable. That's where the transformation begins. And if you're still listening right now, I want you to understand something. You don't need to change your entire life tonight. You need to change your direction. Because direction matters more than speed. If you're walking in the wrong direction, moving faster doesn't help. You simply arrive at the wrong destination sooner. So before you ask, how can I change my entire life? Ask yourself, am I moving in the right direction? Are your daily choices taking you closer to the person you want to become? Or are they quietly taking you further away? Because your future isn't built by what you intend to do. It's built by what you repeatedly do. And that brings us to something most people don't want to hear. Your environment is influencing you more than you realize. Every day, your mind is consuming something. Videos, music, conversations, social consensus, opinions, arguments, success stories, failure stories, complaints, excuses. All of it enters your mind. And eventually, something becomes your normal. You may not notice it, but what you repeatedly consume begins to shape what you consider possible. If you spend every day listening to people who tell you that nothing works, you'll eventually stop trying. If you constantly consume negativity, you'll start expecting negativity. If everyone around you complains about life, you may begin to believe complaining is simply how life works. But if you consistently expose yourself to ideas that challenge you, ideas that teach you, ideas that make you think bigger, your internal world begins to change. This is why you need to protect your mind. Not because you're weak, because your mind is valuable. Your attention is valuable. Your future is valuable. And not everything deserves access to it. You wouldn't let a stranger walk into your house and throw garbage all over the floor. So why would you allow every negative thought, every toxic opinion, and every useless distraction to walk freely into your mind? Be selective. Be intentional. Ask yourself, what am I feeding the person I'm becoming? Because you are becoming someone. Every single day. The question is whether you're becoming that person deliberately or accidentally. And accidental growth is dangerous. Because if you don't decide what matters to you, the world will decide for you. It will tell you what to want, what to chase, what to fear, what success should look like, how you should live, how you should think. And before you know it, you're spending your life trying to win a game you never chose to play. So sometimes, you need to step away from the noise. Turn the phone off. Sit quietly. And ask yourself, what do I actually want? Not what your friends want. Not what social media says you should want. Not what makes you look successful. What do you actually want? What kind of person do you want to become? Because that question is more important than, what do I want to have? Things can be lost. Money can disappear. Titles can change. People can leave. Circumstances can shift. But who you become through the process, that stays with you. So don't only build a better bank account. Build a better mind. Don't only build a better career. Build better character. Don't only chase success. Become the kind of person capable of handling success. Because if you give a weak mindset a strong opportunity, it can destroy the opportunity. But if you build yourself first, you become prepared when opportunity arrives, and opportunity will arrive. But preparation determines whether you recognize it. Think about how many opportunities people miss because they are not ready. They wanted the opportunity. They just weren't prepared for it. They wanted success. But they hadn't developed the discipline required to maintain it. They wanted money, but they hadn't learned how to manage it. They wanted freedom, but they hadn't learned responsibility. They wanted confidence, but they weren't willing to do uncomfortable things. You don't get the future simply because you want it. You become prepared for it. And preparation begins with your thoughts, because your thoughts determine your standards. Your standards determine your actions, and your actions determine your results. So if you want better results, don't only look at the results. Go backward. Look at your actions. Then go backward again. Look at your standards. Then go backward again. Look at your thinking. That's where the real work begins. And here's something else you need to understand. You will have negative thoughts. You will have bad days. You will doubt yourself. You will lose motivation. You will sometimes feel like nothing is working. That doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're human. The goal isn't to never think negatively. The goal is to stop allowing negative thoughts to become permanent beliefs. A thought can visit you without becoming your identity. You can think, I'm afraid, without becoming, I'm a coward. You can think, I failed, without becoming, you can think, I'm struggling, without becoming, my life is hopeless. Learn to separate yourself from the thought. You are the person observing the thought. You don't have to obey every thought that enters your mind. That's powerful. Because sometimes your mind will tell you to quit simply because something is difficult. Sometimes your mind will tell you, you're not ready. Sometimes it will say, someone else is better than you. Sometimes it will say, what's the point? And you need to learn how to answer. Maybe I'm not ready, but I'm starting anyway. Maybe someone else is ahead, but I'm still moving. Maybe this is difficult, but difficult doesn't mean impossible. That's how you train your mind. Not by eliminating every negative thought, by refusing to let every negative thought control your behavior. And this is where positive thinking becomes powerful. Because positive thinking isn't about controlling reality. It's about controlling your response to reality. You can't control the economy. You can't control other people's opinions. You can't control whether someone rejects you. You can't control every setback. You can't control yesterday. But you can control what you do next. And what you do next is where your power lives. So stop spending all your energy fighting things you cannot control. Bring your attention back to the things you can control. Your effort, your habits, your attitude, your learning, your discipline, your response, your expense. That's enough. You don't need to control your entire future today. You only need to control your next step. And then another. And another. That's how enormous things are built. One decision at a time. One day at a time. One disciplined action at a time. Now let me ask you something. What if the life you're dreaming about is not as far away as you think? What if you're not missing some secret? What if you don't need another 10 motivational videos? What if you don't need another perfect plan? What if you simply need to start doing the things you already know you should be doing? Because sometimes knowledge isn't the problem. Execution is. You already know you should exercise. You already know you should learn. You already know you should stop wasting hours scrolling. You already know you should improve your skills. You already know you should take care of your mind. You already know you should work towards something meaningful. So why aren't you doing it? That's the uncomfortable question. And the answer may not be complicated. Maybe you're waiting to feel motivated. Maybe you're afraid of failing. Maybe you're afraid people will judge you. Maybe you're comfortable where you are. Maybe you've convinced yourself you'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow is one of the most dangerous words in the English language. Because tomorrow feels safe. Tomorrow doesn't demand anything from you. Tomorrow lets you keep your dream without requiring you to work for it. But eventually tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next week. Next week becomes next month becomes next year. And suddenly you're looking back wondering, where did the time go? Don't let that be your story. If you know what needs to change, start. Not perfectly. Start badly if you have to. Start small. But start. Because action creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence, consistency, and consistency creates results. That's the chain. And once you understand that chain, you stop waiting for motivation. You create movement. You create movement. 10 paid, you only read 10 paid. Maybe today you only exercise for 20 minutes. Good. Maybe today you only learn one new skill. Good. Maybe today you simply stop one bad habit for one day. Good. Don't underestimate small victories. A small victory repeated long enough becomes a different life. That's the power of compounding. You don't need to become extraordinary tomorrow. You need to become slightly better today, and then do it again tomorrow, and again the next day, and again. Eventually, the person who thought change was impossible looks back and realizes, I became someone I didn't recognize. That's the goal, not perfection. And while you're building, people may not understand. Some people may laugh. Some may doubt you. Some may remind you of who you used to be. Let them. You don't need everyone to understand your transformation. You need to live it. There comes a point where explaining yourself becomes less important than proving yourself through your actions. You don't have to announce every goal. Work. You don't have to tell everyone you're changing. Change. You don't have to convince people you're serious. Become consistent enough that your results speak for you. Because there is a special kind of confidence that comes from knowing you kept going when nobody was watching. That's real confidence. Not loud, not arrogant. Quiet, because you know what you've done. You know how many times you wanted to quit. You know how many mornings you didn't feel like getting up. You know how many times you chose discipline over comfort. And eventually, you stop needing applause. You stop needing permission. You stop needing someone to tell you that you're capable, And that knowledge is powerful. So think positively. But don't stop there. Believe positively. Act positively. Build positively. Choose positively. Because your future doesn't need a better speech. It needs a better you. And that better version isn't going to appear by accident. You have to build them. Every morning, every decision, every difficult choice. Every time you say no to something that pulls you away from your goal. Every time you say yes to something that moves you closer. That's the real transformation. And if you're still here, listen carefully. Because this is where I want you to make a decision. Not a temporary emotional decision because this video made you feel motivated. A real decision. Decide that you're done abandoning yourself. Done making promises you don't keep. Done waiting for perfect circumstances. Done blaming yesterday for everything that happens tomorrow. Done allowing fear to make your decisions. Done treating your potential like something optional. You don't need to have everything figured out. You need to take responsibility for what happens next. Your past is finished. Your next chapter hasn't been written, and you are holding the pen. So what are you going to write? Another year of excuses? Another year of hesitation? Another year of watching other people build the life you secretly wish you had? Or are you finally going to become serious about yourself? Because one day, you're going to meet the person your current choices are creating. And I hope that person looks at you with gratitude. I hope they say, "Thank you for not quitting. Thank you for believing when there was no evidence. Thank you for choosing discipline. Thank you for protecting our future. Thank you for protecting the future." The question is, who are you building for them? So from this moment forward, watch your thoughts. When a negative thought says, "I can't," ask, "How can I?" When fear says, "What if I fail?" ask, "What if I learn?" When your mind says, "I'll start tomorrow," answer, "No, I'll start today." Because your future doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be consistent. It needs you to keep moving. It needs you to believe that your current circumstances are not the final definition of your life. And if nobody has told you this lately, you are capable of more. But capability means nothing without action. Potential means nothing without discipline. A dream means nothing without commitment. So take that first step, then take another. And when the excitement disappears, keep going. Keep going. And Moby claps say, keep going. When progress feels invisible, keep going. When the old version of you tries to pull you back, keep going. Because sometimes the biggest changes in your life happen during the seasons when it looks like nothing is happening. Roots grow in darkness. Strength develops under pressure. Character is built in private. And futures are created long before anyone can see them. So think positive. Not because life will always be easy. Think positive because you need a mind strong enough to keep moving when life isn't. Think positive because your future deserves better thoughts than your past gave you. Think positive because your mind is the beginning of every decision you'll make tomorrow. And then do something with those thoughts. Build, learn, work, improve, move. Because the future you're hoping for isn't coming from somewhere outside of you. You're creating it right now with what you think, with what you choose, with what you do when nobody is watching. So before you leave this video, make yourself one promise. Not 10. One. Choose one thing you know you need to change. And start today. Not Monday. Not next month. Not when everything becomes easier. Today. Because one day you'll look back at this moment and realize this was the day you stopped waiting. This was the day you stopped asking life to change first. This was the day you decided to change yourself. And maybe that decision will become the beginning of everything. And if this message reached something inside you, don't just listen and move on. Do something with it. Write down one goal. Write down one habit you're going to change. Write down one thing you're going to start today. And if you haven't subscribed yet, Subscribe right now. Because if you're serious about becoming stronger, more disciplined, more focused, and more intentional with your life, you don't want to miss what's coming next. And leave one word in the comments. One word that represents the person you're becoming. Not who you were. Not who you've been. Who you're becoming. Because your future is still being written. And this time, make sure you are the one holding the pen. Think positive. Act with purpose. Build your future. Search.